what's going to happen here. Oh, car coming in. No, 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 stop, 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 stop. Yeah! Oh, that was close. Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with watching dash cam videos on YouTube. Whether it's cars flying through the air,
oh my God,
or near misses that make your heart skip a beat.
oh!
Or in the worst case, it could be where there's an actual physical contact between one car and another. Have you ever had a similar incident happen where you've had no video proof? How about you park your car up, you go off and do some shopping, and you come back and the car has been broken into? Wouldn't it be great to have video evidence of the culprit doing the bad thing to your car that you could then use with your insurance company and the police? And then finally, there's a growing trend for people basically faking accidents and then making fraudulent claims on insurance for things like whiplash.
What the hell? What the hell, you idiot! Oh my God! Oh my God! What the hell are you doing?
So if you've been following the channel over the last few years, you will have probably noticed that I've done quite a few videos with different types of dash cams. I find them really interesting to look at, how they're installed and the benefits that they give. In this video, I'm working with the guys from VIOFO to not only review their very latest dash cam, the A329S, what I really wanted to do was to talk about dash cams in general. What are the key benefits to having a dash cam? What are the legalities of it? How best to fit them? Are there any do's and don'ts? Trying to debunk some of the jargon and the technical speak that you see on the back of the packaging. And then basically just having a look at the results that you can get from running a dash cam in your car. Now, before we head downstairs to fit this dash cam to my car, I wanted to just have a bit of a chat about the benefits in terms of insurance of running a dash cam. Now, it may well be that some insurers offer a reduction in premium for having a dash cam. I wouldn't bank on that, and if you do get a reduction in premium, it's not likely to be a huge one. The real benefit comes from either proving who was at fault, so you can protect your no claims discount by proving who was at fault in an accident rather than just going for a knock-for-knock decision. But also, because you've got video evidence of what happened, it's likely that the claims process will be sped up, and that means you get your payout more quickly and you can get on with your life far more quickly. There are some examples of fraud. I've mentioned the crash for cash types of fraud. We've all probably seen the videos online where the car in front slams the car into reverse, drives into you, and then everyone gets out pretending they've got whiplash. If you didn't have that on video, then that becomes a much more challenging thing to prove. If you've got one of these, it's very simple. If you get your car broken into and you've got video evidence, if you've got especially images of the culprit's face, it's more likely that you're able to actually find out who did it and potentially catch the thieves that did it and maybe even recover your stolen property. And then finally, I don't know, maybe there's a kind of subliminal thing, because you've got one of these running and there are speed indicators in the video footage, maybe you're more likely to drive a little bit more safely and a little bit more cautiously than you would have done without one, and in the long run that's likely to have benefits as well. So I guess the first question is, Are dash cams legal? Well, of course, it will vary from country to country, but in the vast majority of countries, yes, they are, with the proviso that one, they're fitted correctly, and two, because you're attaching a camera to the front windscreen, you just need to make sure that it's not obscuring your view. So correct fitment is really, really important. It has always amazed me that manufacturers of cars don't have dash cams as an optional extra you can opt into. The vast majority of dash cams running out there are aftermarket units like the VIOFO that I'm going to be fitting, that someone's fitted themselves. There's lots of different form factors and styles. Typically speaking, they will have at least one camera, so a camera going out the front window. There may well also be a second camera going out the rear window, so you get a front and rear view. Some units will have an interior cabin view as well, especially useful if you want that kind of sentry mode. We'll talk about that very shortly. The basic operation is when you start the car, the unit's powered up and it will start to capture video images. And those images are stored either on some kind of internal memory, on an SD card, or in some cases on an external hard drive. And those videos will often be in a loop. So the storage device, it doesn't fill up and then stop recording. It will just continually put things on a loop. So you'll have the history of driving on that for, depending on how big the SD card is, for a number of days, weeks, or probably even longer than that. A lot of devices may well have some kind of G meter, so that if there's a shock or a sudden stop, that will trigger the device to record everything from the previous, let's say, 1 minute onto a separate file. So you have everything leading up to that shock. So that would be if you had an accident and you actually hit somebody, the G of hitting somebody would trigger the device to store that file and put it into a separate file. A lot of them have voice activation, so you can talk to them and ask them to take still images or still video. And then a lot of the devices on the market, and this one, for example, has a sentry mode. So it can run all the time when the vehicle's parked up, and if if someone breaks in, again, it will detect the vibrations of someone breaking in and record what's happening. In order for that to happen though, you'd typically have to hardwire the dash cam into the car's electric. So the simple way of installing a dash cam is to use the 12 volt, what was the old cigarette lighter, and plug it in there. But if you hardwire dash cams in, you typically open up another range of features and functionality. Now, before we install this, I just wanted to talk through a few of the technical terms you're likely to see on the back of not just this box, but any dash cam box. And we're going to start off with the description of the quality of the video cameras themselves. Now, this VIOFO has 3 video cameras. The main front-facing camera, on this box it says it's a 4K 30 FPS. 4K, you're probably familiar with that term from your TV. It's the step up from HD, if you like. And 30 frames per second, that's just describing how smooth the footage is going to be. The other 2 cameras on this particular dash cam are running at 2K and 30 frames a second. So that's the cabin facing camera and the rear facing camera. More than adequate for the job that they have to do, provides nice smooth footage at really high quality. You might also have a description of the sensor itself, so the inner workings of the digital camera. The VIOFO uses a Sony Starvis 2 sensor. The front-facing camera has an IMX678 and the other 2 an IMX675. What that basically means is it describes how those cameras deal with, in particular, low light conditions and nighttime driving. I'll overlay some footage while I'm talking, but the quality of the images you're going to get from this camera are really crisp and really clear, and that helps you to identify the cars, the number plates, the details, should anything happen. Inside the interior camera, you might sometimes hear it called a fisheye lens, but it's a very wide angle lens. It's got a 210-degree angle. All that basically means is from one camera, you're going to be able to see the whole of the inside of the car. So if anything happens while it's in that kind of sentry mode, you're going to be able to make out what's happening. Now, the Details on the back of here also include Wi-Fi. So this has built-in Wi-Fi. So what that basically means is I don't need to connect a cable to this off to a phone or a laptop to download footage. I can do it wirelessly. This uses something called Wi-Fi 6, either 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. That's just talking about the frequency ranges it's likely to use. I wouldn't worry too much about the technical detail. I feel like I'm getting into my old telecoms job here. What it basically means is the data speed that so when you have that wireless connection between this and a laptop or a phone is really quick, and that means you download the footage really quickly. It's that simple. And then the last thing, while we're talking about data, is these come with a micro SD card, and that will have a size, it will have a descriptor in gigabytes, so it might be 16 gigabytes or 32 gigabytes. As I've mentioned already, the footage that's put on that is put into a loop anyway, so it doesn't need to be a massive amount of storage. And actually, VIOFO also support external SSD or solid state drives, so you can plug in an external drive if you want to access all of your footage. I think they are the main terms. I think the next thing we need to do is have a look at more detail what's in the box. Okay, time for a look inside the box. I love the soft drop, look at that. So satisfying. So we've got a quick start guide. It's very useful. And then in here we have the main camera and control unit, which we will connect to the windscreen with the main camera just there. And we have two other cameras One of these is the rear facing camera, and one of them is the fisheye interior camera. And then underneath here we've got a full user manual, got a nice set of 3M sticky pads and also a dash cam warning sticker. I quite like that. And then in here we've got our cables. So we've got a tool to help us fit the cables inside the car. USB-C cable. This is a power cable to go from the 12 volt socket in the car. And then this looks like connection cables, and even a little lens as well. Very, very cool. So as well as the contents of the main box, I've also got a polarizer lens for the main camera to cut down glare out of the front windscreen, which I really like. I've got an SD card for storing the onboard footage, a dashcam hardwiring kit. Now this is important if you want to use the kind of Sentry monitoring function, because it will power the dashcam when the car is powered off. And then finally, a wireless Bluetooth remote control unit. Now before we go and install the little camera unit to the car downstairs, it's worth just talking about parking mode. The low power impact detection parking mode will give you up to a week's worth of coverage and protection while your car is parked up. The hybrid mode will switch from high power to the low power mode automatically, preserving your battery life on your car. But really very, very clever. Now let's head downstairs and install this. Okay, we've got the main dashcam unit out of the box. First couple of things you need to do is on this side just here, you've got the connections for the other two cameras. They're little mini coax cables, but there's also a slot there for micro SD. So I've got the micro SD card, so I'm going to put the micro SD card in there. So that's all ready to go. And then on the other side there's a USB. That USB is the USB out for an external drive. The actual power is just there. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is try and work out how you're going to power this. Now, I've got the main power cable just here, and if you can see, it has two ends, both of which are USB-C, but it also has a power adapter for a 12-volt power supply. This is going to be very car dependent. In this Macan, I have in this center console just here, I've got USB-C connectors, but I've also got a 12-volt power outlet in the middle here. Now, for me personally, this is I'm just going to fit this temporarily, because what I don't want is power cables coming across this center console. So if you want that neat finish, if you want it to look really professional, you really do need to use the hardwire kit. And arguably, I think you need someone who knows what they're doing for that. So maybe take that to your local garage and see if they'll, or a specialist, to see if they will hardwire it for you. And then all the cables are neatly tucked away, and you get access to the kind of Sentry features. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm not going to use the hardwiring kit, and I'm going to just temporarily use the 12-volt cigarette lighter connection. So it's going to look a little bit messy. Next thing, once you've connected the power cable, which goes in just there, is you need to connect this to the windscreen. So what you want to do is make sure the windscreen is nice and clean, and then also make sure you place it somewhere where the actual camera itself has a really good view out the front of the car, but the actual camera unit doesn't obscure your view. So you don't put it right in the middle of the windscreen just there. A really good place is just the other side of the rear view mirror. So you get a nice central screen, central display, and then you can kind of see that the camera's going to have a really nice view, and it doesn't obscure your view too much as well. But then you need to chase these cables, and there's something really important about chasing these cables that you need to think about. And that is, if the dash cam's in the middle of the windscreen, the cable's going to come round the edge of the windscreen and then need to come down this A-pillar just here. And the challenge with the A-pillar, you'll just be able to see just there, is the vast majority of modern cars have an airbag there. They have a curtain airbag. So you need to be super, super careful about whereabouts you place the cables, so that if that airbag, heaven forbid, had to deploy, you placing cables hasn't interfered with its operation. So you just need to be a little bit careful. If you bring maybe the cable around here, but then you may well have curtain airbags in here as well. So it just takes a little bit of thought, and you just need to be aware of that curtain airbag. So don't go sort of tucking the down here, don't go tucking it in here, because that will just mean that the airbag won't go off properly. So positioning wise, I've decided to put the main camera just there. Should have a good field of view out the front of the car. And then the fisheye camera just there. And then all I need to do now is just dress these cables, especially the power cable, because that will come down here. I think you can kind of see this is the 12-volt power source in the Macan, and what I don't really want is this cable having to chase across this main console just here. So for now that will do, but I'll want to tidy that up eventually. Then the last thing I need to do is place this, which is the rear facing camera, around about here I think, and then chase the cables to it to make that look neat, and then we can head on out and try and get some footage. So surely the best way to demonstrate this dash cam is to go out for a drive. And what I thought I'm going to do is, because the dash cam picks up audio as well, I'm able to synchronize the dash cam video footage with the footage I'm taking off of my normal DJI action cams that I use when I'm recording. And my forward-facing camera is a 4K camera, and if I cross-exchange or overlay the different footage, the quality difference is, well, there isn't one, because it's the same. The only difference is the frame rate. I shoot at a slightly higher frame rate for my videos, but actually, for this kind of driving, it really doesn't make any difference at all. On the forward-facing footage, you'll notice that there are time and date stamps on the bottom. There's a speed indicator on the bottom as well. You can look out the rear of the car through the rear-facing camera. And then also we've got this internal fisheye camera, which has a really wide field of view. You can see everything. Now, when you download the footage from the dash cam and you do it wirelessly, they're all multiplexed together, so you get all three views in one view. I'm taking them off independently so I can show you them slightly bigger. I think it looks better on screen, but it's really easy to access the footage. And as I've said, if you have an incident, then that footage will be there on your dash cam stored on the SD card, but if there is a G trigger, then it will also record that footage in a special file. So you know that should the worst happen, you're going to be okay. And as you're driving along in daylight with good visibility, you might be able to kind of make out the number plates of cars going past and so on. But it's really important that these things work at nighttime too. So unfortunately, we're in sort of pretty middle of summer here in the UK, and it doesn't get dark until really, really late. But what I'll do is I'll go out once it's gone dark this evening and get some footage. I'll overlay that now and just talk about it. But you'll see that the quality is really good and as sharp as it can be. And that's the challenge. A lot of the video cameras I use really don't like low light conditions at all. This VIOFO camera has been designed specifically to work in those conditions and give you the best possible image quality at night time. Now, if you're interested in a VIOFO A329S, I'll put details in the video description and in a pinned comment. I've got a discount code to get you 5% off, but I'll put all the details below. I'm very, very impressed with the image quality. I can see why it's won so many plaudits last year, getting sort of best dash cam of the year in a number of different technical magazines and outlets and so on. It's a very, very impressive bit of kit. Take your time to install it properly. Make sure it doesn't obscure your field of view. Make sure you manage, you don't obscure things like airbags and so on. And yeah, very impressed. Let me know what you think. Also, just in terms of dash cams, have you got a dash cam? Do you run one? Have you ever had an incident where you've needed the footage from one? As I said, I still don't really understand why manufacturers don't just have that as part of the standard offering in a car. They've got enough cameras on modern day cars to do that without any worries, really. So if you are going to buy, an aftermarket dash cam, then VIOFO, very, very impressive. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you on the next film. You take care, guys. Drive safe.